to be cheated is an African man. Now, don't get me wrong. Understand me properly. The easiest scam to be purported in the world is the scam of religion. Let me explain it properly to you. You see, if you go into any part of the world, and all books of science, you will see that if you go to Germany, the books of science and knowledge, psychology, the books that help you to think outside of the box is written in German. If you go to China, the book of science, knowledge that helps you to think and really be able to be a better human being is written in China. The Chinese man teaches their child in Chinese. The German man teaches his child in German. The Englishman teaches his own child in English. The Indian man teaches his child in India. But if you come to Africa, the African man is busy wanting to teach his child in English. If you go to the schools in Africa, in the schools and the libraries in Africa, all the books in the schools that is of science is all written in English. But if you go all over Africa, you will see that the Bible is translated practically into all the languages in Africa. Tell me if that is not a purported scam. When the man that was a very big tyrant, I've forgotten his name right now because it just skipped my mind. The man that was a very big tyrant actually was a big terrorist that came to Africa and took slaves and went on board the ship and went to sell them across the ocean. When that man made a lot of money, he was so famous and so wealthy with the wealth that he made that the Queen of England was so happy with him that she commissioned a ship for him to come back to Africa and pick more slaves. He picked more slaves, and guess what is the name of the ship? Jesus. He picked more slaves and took those people across the ocean. While they were on top of the ocean going, many of them were pregnant, and they threw some of these pregnant women aboard the ship because they were too weak to continue the journey, to be fed to the sharks. Tell me what kind of offense or sin is greater than that. But that man has made a lot of wealth that his generation is enjoying, even though that wealth is made from crime. But an African man is being taught with the Bible that the reason why you're not being successful is because of your ancestors. Your ancestors were the ones that were making you, that are making you unsuccessful. So the African man or the African woman is busy 24 hours in the church trying to cast and bind his ancestors. Why the man and the ancestors of the man that purported the biggest crime that happened in Africa are there enjoying? You can never see a white man blaming his ancestors to be responsible for his problem, but you will always see an African man condemning his ancestors to be responsible for his problem. An African man goes to America to work, he's killed. An African man goes to Germany to work, he works in the toilet because that is what he deserves. Yes, if you're an African man or an African woman that is working in the toilet, cleaning the toilet, and being spat upon and cleaning the piss of people, that is what you deserve. Why? Because you have given the middle finger to your ancestors. A tree that forgets, and a river that forgets its source dries off. A tree that forgets its root dries up. A man that criticizes his ancestors, the best kind of punishment that is made for him is what? Humiliation. So if you are in any of these countries receiving humiliation, you deserve it because what? You have cut off your lineage, you have cut off and disregard and disrespected your ancestors, and you are thinking that the blessing is going to come to you. It is not going to come to you. It is not going to come to you. If you go to America to want to study, or you go to German to want to study, you will study in the language of the Germans. The books of knowledge, the books of science is written in the language of the Germans. You go to China, it is the same thing. You go to India, it is the same thing. You go to Switzerland, it is the same thing. You go to anywhere in the European country, you have to learn in their country. But if you come to Africa, you want to study, the books of knowledge in Africa is written in English. There is no book of knowledge, biology, chemistry that is translated in an African language. Show me one. You can never find one. But you will find the Bible translated in all languages of Africa. Why? Because it is a big scam, and it is the easiest way to do it, to take advantage of the people and put them in shackles so that you can continue doing what? Milking them. It is time for you to wake up. It is time for you to wake up.
You say religion is the easiest scam, and that is true. Religion is the easiest scam, but not Christianity. Christianity is the best means of deliverance, the best means of freedom, the best means of peace and eternal good heritage. So Christianity is different from religion, as I usually explain. According to this guy, the Bible is translated in all languages of Africa, but it is not the same with the Western world and the Asian world. He said all of the educational books in the African school system are all written in English and other foreign languages, not in African original languages. Then, as someone with serpentine tongue, he is attributing it to the Bible, the Christianity, and the Christians as the cause of the problem. But why is it that the Chinese have their own textbooks written in their own languages, in their own language? And I believe that the textbook they use in China and some other Asian countries are being written by the Asians, by the Chinese. And they create their own educational system. Then why is it that Africans cannot create their own educational system? Why can't we create our educational system? Why is the African government not creating and sponsoring African educational system? Why do they allow the colonists to hijack our educational system? The colonists are the people responsible for setting up our educational content in the academic and vocational centers all over Africa. They set the exams for Africa. They write the theory. They make Africans learn what they, the colonists, want Africans to learn and to know, and thereby limiting them from knowing what they should know, which should help us become ourselves. Is it the Christians that are doing all these things? How is the Bible related to this? But to be honest with you, the Bible is written in all of the languages of the world. It is not only written in English. It is not because the Bible is a scam, but it is because the Bible is the greatest book that exists on this earth. The greatest book for understanding the principles of freedom, understanding the principles of living in peace and harmony with humanity, understanding the principles of righteousness, understanding the principles of prosperity. Most of the things people learn in the academic center today as subjects are being derived from the content of the Bible. God started innovativeness, creativity by the creation. He started laws by giving the first law, the law of the prohibited fruit, to Adam and Eve. He started marriage, he instituted it between Adam and Eve. So all of the content of the Bible are what had happened in human life from the source of God and the God's relation with humans, starting from the time Adam and Eve were created and they related with God until today. He has alleged it to the Christians as being responsible for sponsoring slavery, for executing slave trade in Africa in the olden and modern days. But is that true? That is the serpent speaking, fabricating allegation, the accuser of the brethren, to accuse the Christians falsely. Christianity stands against slave trade. Christianity stands against slave trade. However, there are willing slaves, people who choose to become slaves to others. So that is as a matter of their choice. They have freedom of choice, but they make the wrong choice. So God never encouraged anybody to become a slave or anybody to become a slave master to anybody. So it is something of relation between humans according to how they deal among themselves. And it is mostly because they never relate with God. Because anybody who relates with God, who has the real Christian mindset, cannot enslave others. Neither would the person offer himself for slavery, unless for the mission of liberating others who are into slavery. We, the Africans, even we as Christians, we don't curse our ancestors. We don't blame them for doing the right thing. We blame them for the wrong things they have done. And also, we blame them for idolatry. For not coming to accept the real God and worship the real God in spirit and in truth. And for them to fail to guide us in the way of worshiping God in the spirit and in truth. That is the area we blame them. We don't blame them in everything. We also ask the question, just like you and I will become the ancestors of Africa sometimes someday, what are we doing to build a better future for the Africans? What is the African government doing to regain the freedom of Africans from the colonists? Because this guy who has spoken may not understand that the reason of the existence of African government is to be sustaining the slave trade system in the guise of politics against us, the Africans, and in the favor of the Westerners. So I keep on to ask, how does the church stop the African government from building the factories in regard to each of the mineral resources that God has deposited in Africa? Then, how is the church stopping Africans to write their textbooks in African languages? Is it in the power of the church to do that? What is your government doing about it? Then he that has spoken, what is he really doing to change the situation? Why can't you confront your government to question them about the reason they keep silent and the whole thing continue the way the colonial masters has established them? It is because the African leaders are puppets to the colonists. And it is because this kind of serpentine tongues, they are spiritually blind. They hate the light. They hate the truth, which is the word of God, Jesus Christ. He claims that the colonial masters came using a ship written Jesus to buy slaves, to take slaves from Africa, among whom there were pregnant women who were thrown into the sea to feed the fishes. But no Christian can do that. No Christian can participate in slave trade. It is the same thing they are doing now that they have been doing all along since ever then. They disguise themselves as Christians to go and perpetrate their evil, and the ignorant, the naive and gullible set of people will begin to believe that it is the Christian doing all those sorts of rubbish. Christianity is about freedom. It is about peace. It is about justice and for well-being of all humans. So it can never be Christians. Stop accusing us. We are innocent of that. And the Christianity is the light of the world. Christianity means stop stealing, stop robbery, stop slavery, stop sexual immorality, stop witchcraft, stop everything that is called evil. Christianity is the light which has come into the world, but the world rejects the light to accept darkness because their deeds are evil. It is not because Christianity is evil. It is not because the Bible is a scam. The Bible is the greatest book that ever exists. The book for the best, the excellent wisdom. So it is Satan deceiving this serpentine tongue and the likes of him and the majority of humanity from acquiring the excellent knowledge which comes from the Bible, and to live by that excellent knowledge to make this world the pure replicate of heaven which God has created it to be originally before the fall of man into sin. May God bless you. May God bless you as the program is coming to an end. Don't forget, this is the Olivet Prophecy, Matthew 24 from Points of Reality. It is available in Amazon. Buy your copy, The Prophecy of Jesus Christ, in regard to the end time event which will herald the coming rapture and the pro-rapture great tribulation. This is lost and their problems. Lost and their problems. Lost and their problems. The inability to discipline desire, then the negative consequences that follows being carried away by lust, which is excessive desires. The problems emanating from lust. So this book explains about them. So because a problem discovered is a problem half solved. So after discovering those problems, it requires the applications of the solution, and the application to the solution will be given to you via living a contented life. So it is a part of the books that I will publish very soon in the future. May God bless you. I remain your serviceable servant, Evangelist Inimakalo. The program has come